G'day YouTubers. Well, today I thought I'd make a video for you on testing, rebuilding, servicing Bosch type alternators. This applies for most alternators, same theory, just different procedures for disassembly and possibly for testing. So now the first thing you'll do is you need an Allen key. Well, basically just the tools we're supposed to run through. You need a large Phillips head screwdriver, small Phillips or medium Phillips head, a tapometer, a socket or a ring spanner, sorry, that'll fit the nut there, which in this case is a 15/16, but I don't think that's imperial nut. I think that's metric, I don't know. Anyway, and a Allen key that is, I think, 8mm if you've got the hex head in there, which I'm lucky enough to. So what you do is you put your Allen key up in your vise, so you tighten it up like that. Imagine if you tighten that. Well, alright, I'll do it just to show you how the procedure is done. So you tighten up your Allen key like that, slip your wrench over, then sit the alternator so that the alternator is sitting on that, also that the hex key is holding the alternator up. So that can be a bit hard with one hand. There we go. So then you just bring your shifter up onto the nut and use the hammer to shock it off. Sometimes you might need to spray it with some lubricating spray of some description, like I had to here, because it was pretty tight. So anyway, once you've done that, you just take this assembly off. You might need to tap around the edge of the pulley, only around the edges, don't bend it. Take note of if there's a spacer in here where all these spacers go, so the best idea is to take them all out, then assemble it how it was. Now I know how they go because I've done a million of these, but if you're not sure, just lay everything out the way it should go. Next ones you loosen is these ones here, which are these long bolts, already taken them out, and then you loosen these short bolts here. Now with the grease that's seeping outside here, I'd say the seal in that bearing's burnt, so it might be shot. There's a bit of rust in there and a bit of flakage, that sort of thing, so that's probably not a good sign. So anyway, because it's in an aluminium housing, just put your screwdriver on top of your nut and tap a few times with the hammer to try and break the thread. So next what you do is remove the regulator itself. So I've already taken one screw out, so we'll loosen the other one off, so the regulator is just sitting there, and this one will come out. This one actually has new brushes, that's pretty good. So now new brushes are a bit of an indication that maybe it's been serviced, because maybe they thought it was you know, bad, so that's not the best sign. So anyway, what I'll do now is I'll sit this up like this and just tap the housing apart, and if I can find something to sit the camera on, I'll show you. That's about as good as we're going to get. So I'll just tap it and it falls out because I've taken out those screws. So now you'll have your stator sitting there, or well, everything's sitting there. So if you can lift that up and just tap the housing down. So I'll do that. Be a bit careful about where you tap. And alternate where you tap, so go from corner to corner, blah blah blah. Don't tap all in the same place. This one's a bit stubborn. There we go. Alright. So now I've got it all apart. So now I'll have to go and get a multimeter and try and remember the values, and we'll test all the resistances. So now check your bearings for play. These ones look like they've been replaced because they're not the original ones that Bosch put in there. I forget what the brand are, but they're definitely not these, whatever this brand is, so that's good. They've been replaced recently, and that one is leaking out of the seal, but that's alright. So anyway, I'll get a multimeter and we'll check all the resistances. But first what I'll do is disconnect this, the condenser, and then what you do is you take off this top nut, then you'll find another nut under that one, you'll take off that one, and note the way that all the pads come out, all the insulating pads. So I'll do that, and then what you do is you undo your 3 or 4 screws in here, and you can pull the whole diode assembly out with the stator, also the winding. So I'll do that. Okay YouTubers, so got it all apart, got this part out. Now one thing I probably should have mentioned before was that before you take it apart, get a permanent texture and put some marks on it so that you know which way it come apart, so you can line everything up again. I've taken that many apart, I know how they go back together, so that's not much of a problem for me, but I should have mentioned it. Just, you know, marks straight along the housing so that you know which way it come apart. So anyway, now I've got some values here. The first one is for the slip rings. So between the slip rings it should be between 2.47 ohm and 2.73 ohm for this particular alternator. Now I don't know, there's a lot of different alternators, a lot of different values. This is an 85 amp Bosch with, I think it's an RE75 regulator, could be mistaken. But anyway, so let's see what that is. So that's across the slip rings. That is not very, I mustn't have a very good connection. Alright, so what I'll do is set this up so you can see it. Maybe we can use this for a tripod, I don't know. I'll do. Don't know whether you can see the screen there. Suppose you can probably see it now. So I'll just scratch around till I get a good contact. So it's obviously not right. So either this is terribly burnt out, or I reckon this can't get a decent purchase point. So what I'll need to do is I'll give this sandpaper, slightly rub over them so that I can get a decent point to measure off. Okay, so I cleaned up the slip rings now. They had a lot of crud on them, so we'll see if we get, I don't know whether you can see it. If I turn off that light you can. And that's 2.4 or 2.5, so that's exactly where it should be. All I'm doing is measuring across the slip rings like this, so they're good, good values there. Now what you do is you'll get your test lamp and such. Now attach that to a good earth point, which I can't get here. This one actually looks like it's been rewound by the look of it. So when you touch onto here, you should not get any light, providing it actually works, which doesn't seem it is. Fuck. What's going on? So it's working. Okay, it's a loose connection in the lamp. Anyway, so as you can see there, don't get anything on them. So that's good. You can test your resistances, should be 0. Across from the slip rings to earth, which it is. So that's good. Next thing is the windings and the diodes. Now it's a little bit harder to check windings unless you detach them, which is a good idea. So your diodes, basically what you do, hook your negative first off, hook your negative to the aluminium housing, and just pass your test lamp. Now I need to fix this, put a decent lead on it by the look of it, but all these diodes on this side should now light in this way. So now I'll try the other side. Sorry for the funny camera angle. So now these ones theoretically shouldn't. These are the positive ones, so yep, they're not. Alright, so now what we do is we swap our source. This is just 12 volt battery charger. So So I'll just swap these leads around. So the negative now becomes a positive, and blah blah blah. So now the current's flowing the other way. So now these lights here won't light. So none of them light, that's good. And all of these should, if they're good diodes. Which this test lamp's not helping. I'm sure that we're a better test lamp. Now all this, so when you reverse the polarity, they should light, or shouldn't light, so the lamp's up to shit. So I'll just try and sort that out and show you.